Okay, I get this question a lot. This one was in response to a video I made that was talking about how I didn't realize that my addiction to true crime, intense books and movies and TV shows, my inability to rest and slow down, my inability to be alone with my thoughts, like constantly needing to distract myself with podcasts or music or calling friends and family, these are all pointing me. They were all symptoms of nervous system dysregulation, which I lived in for so many decades. Whenever we are faced with a threat, the built-in response of our body is going to be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. What happens to many of us, this is absolutely what happened to me, is that I experienced the threat, I experienced the response. So my response was more of a flight response. I kind of completely just detached and dissociated from myself for this period of time, even when the threat is gone. So even after I went through infant loss twice back to back in two separate like full-term pregnancies. And so even when that was over with, I was still living in a dysregulated nervous system because my trauma responses were incomplete. They were not finished. When we are faced with a threat and we have this kind of response cycle, if the cycle is not completed, we store that trauma in our bodies and in our systems. Whether we want to believe it or not, this is just what happens on a physiological level. When you are living in a dysregulated nervous system, your stress tolerance, your threshold for handling life becomes really narrow because you're already kind of living in this state of dysregulation. So small inconveniences or just mild life stressors can kind of throw your whole system into a tizzy, and you find yourself constantly needing to regulate yourself. That's one major sign that you are living with a dysregulated nervous system. It's crazy to me now living in a calm system where I'm not constantly having to chase the things that help me regulate. I am regulated most of the time, and because I've healed, my window of tolerance, my threshold for stress has widened, and that's absolutely worth the hard work of healing trauma. Some things I've learned along the way: you cannot rush or force your healing, and you cannot choose healing for somebody else. Every single person has to choose their own healing if they want it to be effective. Also, invalidation equals disconnection. Keep this in mind. If you are someone who finds yourself thinking thoughts like, this thing shouldn't still bother me, it happened to XYZ years ago. First of all, time is not a healer. We've been taught that time just magically makes things go away, and that's simply not true. The things are still there. If you are invalidating your own pain, your own experiences, you will never be able to connect the way that you need to on a deep enough level to find that physiological safety that your body is asking for. Exposure therapy, EMDR, somatic therapy, and plant medicine have been my favorites, but there really is no wrong way to heal. You have to find what works for you, and often that's going to happen through a lot of trial and error, but ultimately it's a really long, painful, but worthwhile journey of coming home to yourself.